How does the cycle of three manifest in P, Q, and R? Well, P is 16, Q is 17, and R is 18. P, as the 16th letter in the English alphabet, is 7, and thus separation, light, the ego, a spirit's individual idea on the perfect pen is, the perfect pen, the perfect writing utensil, the perfect tool for creation. So by using your perfect P to write out your destiny, you generate your own orgasmic organisms that then play out the life of your dreams. So once a spirit has created an individual idea, it's written down its ideas on how it can pleasure, how it can perfectly fill up its own orgasmic space and bring the life of its dreams into organisms, into genes that can wear those dreams. The question then becomes, how does one actually attain the perfection that they're using their pen to write down? This is the question of how to make P, how to make perfection reality. So we see why it goes P, Q, R. Questions power the soul so that people can make their personal perceptions and projections real. So this is where Q is the soul. Q, being letter 17, literally comes out to the number 8, which is a number for the soul, the darkness, the vibration. The spirit's question of how to attain the perfect light that pleasures their O leads them onto explorations, onto quests into the darkness. So questions power the soul because they lead the spirit on quests into the darkness. And what is the darkness? The unknown. And what is the unknown? Spaces outside of oneself. You as a spirit are familiar with everything inside of your space. So all the darkness, all the unknown would be spaces outside of yourself. And the reflection of how those spaces reflect into your space would be whatever emotions that you rather not feel when you're at home are going to be the emotions that you mainly deal with when you're outside of your home. So this is how questions power the soul and thus the spirit to grow. The ego desires stability. It desires safety, which really most of the time looks like stagnation. The soul requires change. The soul desires chaos because it is only through tumultuous change and chaos that one can actually grow. This is why earth is dry and dead without water to bring life to it. So the ego is dry and dead. It wants stability, but it will never grow if it gets its way. So the soul is always there to show the ego that everything's vibrating, thus everything is changing. So Q, the question, the quest for perfection, leads to a spirit sending their eagle to fly out of the coop, out of the nest, and go into other realms and realities to collect information repeatedly. Triple R, just to show how essential the R is to gaining perfection. So cosmically, once you have your idea of P, the Q really leads to who are you? Who, the letter R, are you on a daily basis? Whether people are looking or not, what are you doing repeatedly, over and over and over? Your reps, how you build realms and realities when you're alone. Your personal water cycle is who you are. So this is where R represents the spirit, because as spirits, we're always consistently doing something if we're not doing nothing. What you're doing right now is what you've always been doing. As spirits, we change, but really we all stay the same. And we just change the way in which we do things. So we're always doing the same thing because as spirits, we all have our own individual perspective. But the way in which we do these things repeatedly transforms. And that's the point of death being an illusion. Your body will change, but who you are as a whole actually grew. You're actually even better after your death. You're even better after you exit that realm, because the point of you making a body in that realm was to step outside of your home and challenge your soul in ways that you would never be able to challenge yourself if you did not make a body outside of your home. So this is why P, your perfection, leads to Q, how do you attain perfection, and then R, who are you actually? Your idea of perfection, how do you repeatedly make that real? And then that's the point of realms and realities. That's the point of us using water to create life. So R, being number 18, is all about you giving birth to a new life by stepping out of your home. So you only truly know who you are when you challenge your imagination, challenge your ego, challenge your soul, challenge your feelings, really challenge yourself as a space by using your creations to step outside of yourself and penetrate, write your destiny out in other realms and realities. So this is why 18 is such a sacred number for humans when considering at what age a child is considered an adult and thus allowed to leave the home and enter the real realm, the real reality, the real world. 18, 1 plus 8, is about a spirit becoming a full 9-dimensional entity by sending its ego, its imagination, out into another space. And this other space, being 8, is the soul, meaning that it's a space that already has its own realm and reality going. It already has its own water cycle. It already has its own perspective. Thus, it already has its own natural life blooming out of its water cycle. That now this spirit can become a 9-dimensional entity by sending its ego into to then learn about itself inside of. So 18 represents giving birth to a new perspective, to a new eye, a new way to see the universe by penetrating the ego, by penetrating the imagination into the feminine soul home. This is why 18 in English American culture represents the birth of a newly realized individual. And thus, this individual, being a fully realized adult, is allowed to leave the home and connect with, have sex with, whoever they want, legally. This is why R, in our cycle of 3, thus represents yellow, air, a spirit happy that it is able to communicate its internal to the external. 18-year-olds are very happy to be able to have all this freedom of communicating in a whole new way, of course. That's what R is all about. We'll get more into how R becomes S next time. See you there.